Hey there, welcome to the If It Can Go Wrong, It Will Go Wrong show. This is Angelo Webb, the Animal Intuitive, and this is the Animal Intuitive show. Today we are going to be talking about how you can help your pet when they are dealing with things that are stressful, like fireworks noises that are loud. We've also got things like the word just went out of my head. Not fireworks, but the whole point of the show. It's gone. It's not there. It's like fireworks and storms, thunderstorms. Thank you. Okay. Come on, all you doggies, won't you walk with me? I'm the puppet. Yeah, it's going to be a good one today. I can tell. So, if you've watched this show before, I don't know, there's like often issues I'm always having. So I do this all by myself, and sometimes I've just got to go with it, despite the issues that come up. So hopefully the point is the content's good, and that's why you keep coming back. So today I am going to be sharing with you some techniques that can help your pets with thunderstorms and fireworks. I will share with you actually. I think thunderstorms affect people in a lot of different ways. And one of those ways for me is that I actually do get forgetful, and I get sort of migraines and things like that. And we are experiencing an upcoming like barometric pressure shift here. So I apologize. That's probably part of why I just forgot the word. So anyway, I have some acupressure points to share with you today. We're going to talk about animal communication and energy work. So some really good things that can help your fur baby when they are dealing with these unfortunate things that sometimes upset them. So I do have a live chat going on today. I'm just going to make sure that that's going, and that if you guys want to ask questions, you can. That was right here before, and then when we went live, it kind of moves things around sometimes. So just bear with me 1 second while I find that guy. There we are. Okay, so Janessa's here. Oh, wonderful. Okay, and DB, I'm not sure who, I think you've been on before, but I'm not sure what your name is, so I apologize, but it says DB. So thank you for being here, both of you. And this is a show where we do talk about, depending on the week, any kind of natural pet care, essentially. Sometimes I do interviews with experts in the fields of animal care and advocacy, but as a professional animal communicator, I'm often doing something that has to do with animal communication. Even if I'm doing a demonstration like this one about acupressure and energy work and that kind of thing, I tend to incorporate some animal communication into that. So, oh, Janessa, so you have a 90-pound dog, a little bit bigger than mine. I have an 80-pound German Shepherd. Baby, right? The big ones are like babies. It's so interesting. Who's on meds for anxiety? Okay, separation anxiety, the beep from the fire alarm, batteries dying, fireworks are the worst. I can sympathize with all this with my dog. But even the wind scares me. Yeah, the wind. Oh yeah, Teeter. Oh, that's DB. You were on my show with Teeter. Teeter hides under a recliner for a couple of hours. Yes, Darlene. Okay. I'm telling you guys, it's really interesting. I get so wonky with the barometric pressure changes. It's terrible. Sometimes I can't remember my birthday. I'm not even kidding you. The worst is when I get the migraines, but the full-on migraines. But anyway, so yeah, I have a dog, Cheyenne, who gets very anxious when any kind of sounds, just like all of you were talking about, anything and everything. So, and I had a dog before her, and that's how I got into massage. Her name was Misha. And I got into massage and acupressure because of these animals that I've had in my life, and also, of course, wanting to help other animals, but trying to find natural ways to help. So, there are things we can do. I just want to mention that I'm not a vet, so I can't diagnose or treat illness. Generally when your pet is pretty healthy and you're up on your visits to your vet and there's nothing like really going on with them, you can generally just do acupressure and massage. The things I'm showing you today are not heavy duty. But like when I do a full session with an animal, I always get their veterinarian approval. So if you have anything going on, like an infection, treatment for cancer, those are kind of generally the things that you need to wait before you do anything like we're talking about today, like the hands-on. However, you can do energy work, of course. You can always tune into your pet and understand what they're thinking and feeling. That's always, of course, a good thing to do. So feel free as we're going along to pop in the chat. That's totally fine. This is interactive. I want you to ask questions. If there's anything that you're not following or is confusing, please feel free to let me know. That's totally, totally good. So, blipped myself out. Okay. Well, you're here. I see you. Darlene. So, okay. So I have done some videos on acupressure. I did a massage recently. This is a little bit more specific, and I want to kind of redo this a little bit of the firework and thunderstorm stuff from last summer that I did. I was a little bit newer at this, so it's good to update. So I think one of the quintessential things it's just so important when you're doing any kind of energy work with your pet, and just in general, if you're trying to keep your animal calm, is to stop thinking about keeping them calm. So I know that sounds a little bit counterintuitive or strange, but animals are all about energy. They are always picking up on our energy. They are very sensitive little beings. So if my animal is worried or scared about something that's going on and they're feeling anxious, if I come at my pet with the energy and the attitude of like, oh my gosh, it's okay, you're to be okay, don't worry, and I'm like showing all this emotion and putting forth all this emotional energy, it's not actually going to help at all. It's going to make things probably worse, because they're feeling that sort of something's wrong when you're doing that. So what you want to do is get grounded. I'm always talking about trying to stay grounded with your pets. So we want to do things that help us to pull ourselves down, get out of that like high emotion or worry about them. And guilt as well. That's another one that gets people. So I really advise taking a little bit of a time when you're about to go towards your pet or work with your pet when they're having something going on, and just in general, just do a self check-in. Are you feeling anxious? Do you have a lot in your mind? Are you up in your head? And if so, that's okay, because it's pretty easy to apply some of these techniques to ourselves. Acupressure was, of course, first developed for humans. Well, acupuncture, and then you have acupressure, and they're both for humans. So acupuncture would be using a needle. Acupressure is when we're just going to be using like our hand or a fingertip generally to work on the same points that you would work on with acupuncture. But of course, it's wonderful because you don't have to be somebody who's knows how to put needles in your pet or in yourself to do this, to do acupressure. So acupressure is working on the meridians. It's working on also, they've done some scientific studies where they're seeing that it affects the nerves, that it's actually, there's something physical going on that even like Western medicine is accepting, that there's something changing. It's not just sort of this woo-woo energy stuff. And I believe in the woo-woo energy stuff, but it's been proven that there's actually scientific changes going on in the body that they can see. So, or I guess I should say physiological changes. But so if you are going to be going in and working with your pet, you can do these points for yourself before you work with your pet. So just to kind of get us into this, I just want to take a real quick moment to get us a little bit grounded. So we're going to take in just together a nice deep breath through your nose, through your mouth, whatever's most comfortable for you. Just hold it for a moment, and then very slowly and control, just let it go. And just notice where your energy's at. A little trick that you can do is take note between 1 and 10. If 10 was like you're completely anxious and revved up and distracted, where are you on that scale? And of course, 1 is like you're nearing like sleep. You're totally relaxed. So when you do that, you can notice, okay, if I'm like at a 8 or a 10 even, I'm going to want to come down. I don't want to approach my animal that way. So when you notice that, the first thing I would recommend doing is going right to what we call the governing vessel and the conception vessel. So the governing vessel is located right under your nose in this little cleft right here, right above your lip. And the governing vessel runs along the top of the head. It goes all the way back. And so it's a wonderful point for hitting a lot of different organs of the body. It goes right along what's called the bladder meridian. And that meridian has an impact on many different organ systems of the body. And it can be extremely relaxing and do some really good stuff when you do that. And then also the conception vessel is right under your bottom lip. And when you press there, you're actually doing the same thing, but along the front of the body. So you're also hitting a lot of points there. And some of these, I won't get into all this, but some of these are deeper and not as deep organs. So that's kind of a whole nother part of acupressure. But you don't really need to think about all that, what you're hitting. It's just the fact that, and I don't mean that you're impacting an organ in the way that it's going to cause any issues or anything like that. The conception vessel is the only one for people who might be pregnant. You might want to not do that one because it's just going to affect a lot of things that could, potentially induce labor. But that's sort of something to read about if you're interested in using that point or you want to consult with somebody. There's debate about that, but I'm telling you, don't do it unless if you're pregnant. So, or your pet. So, and depending on your pet, you may be able to work these points. Some animals will be okay with it. If you have a pet that will let you do these, that's awesome. A nice thing about this point too is that if your pet is like in a situation where you need to wake them up, like they're in a really difficult sort of state, they've gotten into some kind of coma-like situation, or they're kind of going out, this point can bring them back. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully you'll never be in that situation, but it's good to know. So getting back to the humans, I'm talking a little bit, we're sitting here a little bit, your energy may come down, you may be getting a little bit more relaxed. So let's just go back and check in where we are. If you take in another deep breath between 1 and 10, just note where you are. Hold it for a moment, as long as you're comfortable, and then let it go. Hopefully you're noticing that your energy is starting to come down. Okay, so when we go to approach an animal to do energy work, we want to come at them with intention, but not the kind of intention where you are flooding them with okay, I'm gonna do this with you right now. It's gonna make everything better. It's more like you're coming over to them and you're coming to them in as grounded a way that you can, um, and saying, I would like to do this for you. You're sending them that message that you want to help them, but you're kind of doing it in a lovingly detached way, if that makes any sense. So we do want to, when we're going to be doing things like this with our animals, we want to, in a sense, get their permission. So by doing that, by saying those things to your pet, um, you're giving them the opportunity to say no. With in the world of animal communication, respect for our animals is key. So just like if someone came up to you and saw that you were nervous or anxious or what have you, and they just came right at you and started doing acupressure or whatever and touched you, you might not appreciate that. So it's the same thing with our animals. So, and they'll probably be to some degree more honest with us if they don't want you to do that. So when you go over to them, just feel your pet, feel the love that you have for them. Again, not going flooding them with love, but just gently tuning in with them, feeling their energy, and say to them, I would like to help you by doing these little points where I'm going to be touching you. I'd like to do some things to help you relax. And you can even address what it is that's scaring them. You could mention, you could say in doing that you hear the sounds, you see the light, and that you understand that they're scared right now. Now, these are all things that you may think, well, I'm not an animal communicator. I don't know how to do that. Trust me, your animals know a lot more than you might think they do. They pick up on quite a bit. And if you are taking the time to be intentional and connect in with them, they're at the very least, even if it's not completely specific information, they're going to understand that you are there to do something intentional. And I sort of mean that on it is like an energetic level. They're picking up on it in an energetic way, that okay, this person's coming um, to help me. So you do need to trust it a bit and trust your relationship with your animal. If you haven't done animal communication and you don't feel confident in your abilities. And I can tell you that most of the people that I teach have very early on in the process of a class, they can identify a time when they communicated with animals but didn't realize it. So trust in that. I can tell you that's happened with so many of my students. So as long as you feel connected with your animal, I would be willing to bet that you have done animal communication. I think we're all born with it, and then it's just a matter of training ourselves to use it intentionally. So the first point I want to show you is large intestine 4. Large intestine 4, it's also called converging valley. And this point is one that is contraindicated in pregnancy, in that it can induce labor. So just keep that in mind if your animal is pregnant or you are, not to do this point. So, or at the advisement of your acupuncturist or your vet, see what they say. So, but don't do it now. So, this is used for a few things, including relieving stress. It can also help with headaches. So it's one that I use when I get headaches, especially with these storms, and neck pain, which is something else that comes along with that for me. So this is going to be located. I'm going to show you first on me, on my hands. I have my trusty wolf with me. I can never promise that my animals are going to stick around. So I don't set things up usually when I'm doing a live with a live animal because I do give my animals that leeway and they definitely take advantage of it. So I can't trust them essentially. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll have a cat or something or whatever that just loves to be right here. Um, so this point is located, you have this like webbed area in this triangle space you have here. And this is, you know, your pointer finger going down, your thumb's coming here, and you have this triangular space here. And you have like a thick part of the muscle here. And we're talking about it's more on the, here, I'm having a little difficulty getting the angle right. I always do when I try to show people this in the camera, but it's more in the thick part of that muscle. And in some different, I've watched different practitioner videos about this actually, and there's a little bit of like debate about where this point is located. So my feeling about it is you should go about trusting your intuition, which is always the best thing to do when in doubt. So, or just in general. So I feel very strongly when I get the right spot on this point, I can feel my energy just relax. Like right there for me. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll push a little bit with my thumb on the other side just to give it, see there, that's the front, and then like over here the other side. That just kind of works for me. So feel around in there. Feel if it's more here on this side or you're going over here. It works for me to push together. And when I really kind of feel around, it's more on this back side for me. It's going towards the, well, yeah. If this is the front of your hand, I'm saying this is the back. So I'd love to hear what you guys feel. Do you notice the difference in your energy? Do you feel the calming when you push that point? I'll watch the chat for that. And notice your breathing too, because you might notice that your breathing begins to slow down. That's a good sign. And don't worry about typing if you guys are like really enjoying this or trying to find that spot. I do want to hear what you have to say, but don't worry about typing right now in the chat. Okay. I always find that there's a point where you know you're done with that point. And you don't have to press too hard. Again, use kind of your intuition. You don't want to be like, you want to just get that sensation of like, that's very relaxing. That's when you know that you got the right pressure. Oh, Janessa, you have a headache. And it's pounding less. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, and you're feeling it right on that back part. Okay, awesome. I actually find sometimes it's good for and this is the thing about acupressure, like I was mentioning, it can be both an energetic meridian thing that it's helping to move energy, but it also can just immediately address if there's like muscle tension or a nerve issue near a joint. Acupressure points are usually located in a joint area. So that's great that you're feeling that less of the pounding headache. Yeah, there's something going on. The barometric pressure is changing. We're getting there's like a storm system. I watch this stuff because it really does personally impact me a lot. the changes in barometric pressures. I have to be really careful with, like, even my schedule sometimes, just watching the weather. So yeah, Durley, it's a great spot. Do either one of you actually have your pets being cooperative, unlike mine, where you can practice this on them while we're working, while we're here? And you don't have to. I mean, just curious if we have animals that are actually partaking. Um, so you would just now, of course, apply this to your pet. So it's a little bit tricky to show you on my wolf because, and I think you probably get it from just doing it on yourself, but he's a stuffed animal, so he's not like anatomically correct, but you can see that. And by the way, on animals, they have what's called a dew claw, some of them, not all of them. But if they have the dew claw, you're going to be able to see that there, and it's going to be that triangular spot that you're going to work on. Mine is lying on the bed. He probably would let me. Yeah, you totally should if he'll let you. Definitely give it a try. And I'd love to, if anybody comes on here and they want to have their animal come on, I do have a link, and we can have your pet come on if you want to tape them doing this live. Okay. So yeah, not all animals have that dew claw, but some of them do, and that's a good guide. Um, if they don't have it, you're basically just gonna kind of pretend they do. Um, just if that makes any sense, you just sort of imagine where that point would be, just coming down from the pointer finger. Okay, so it's interesting, these points. This point is also called a joining or converging valley. And what's just interesting about acupressure is where some of these names come from. I mean, this one's really obvious because it's a valley. It's an adjoining, valley. So that was an easier one to remember. This is also good for issues in the forelimb too. I use this one on my dog Kane. I've demonstrated it in other videos because he has a kind of chronic issue from having to have a surgery on his elbow. So for instance, for a dog like that or a dog with arthritis, this would be good. And again, just make sure that your veterinarian approves of that if they have any physical issues. Okay, so this also can help with just sort of, so the way I would put this is like in traditional Chinese medicine, they would say like helping to clear wind or helping to disperse energy. So if you're feeling that you're sort of pent up, that's kind of, or feeling tense, that's the concept of why it's relieving stress, because you're dispersing that pent up energy. I find this stuff really neat, the way that where this stuff comes from. So, and it can help with pain, with, for instance, with what goes on with my dog Kane, because he can get overworked. Like if he's playing a lot or walking a lot, he'll get sometimes stiffer and sore in that area. And it isn't just his elbow, it'll then affect his whole arm. It'll go right into his wrist and everything. So this is a good point for him. Yeah, the full moon, eclipses, storms all affect me. Me too. Yeah. I think, some of us just being more sensitive people, which a lot of people are who are interested in these things. And, yeah, we feel it more. It just kind of comes sometimes with the territory. Yeah, so you tried this point, not always for very long. Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, it can be rough. So, Heart 7 is the next point that I wanted to show you. It's also called Shenmen, and it means spirit gate, um, or spirit of the heart. So, the when we talk about traditional Chinese medicine, um, the ancients, as we might refer to them, the people that came up with these things, and the this acupressure and acupuncture and all of this traditional Chinese medicine, is very old, and it comes from so many years of observation and learning and refining. Um, so these individuals didn't really see a distinction between heart and mind. So the way that they see it is that when the heart, and mind are settled, Shen sits there. But if something in the Shen is considered that spirit of the heart, so if something makes an individual fearful, um, or just stressful, that Shen can become disturbed. So we want to help to settle it. So this point is located on the lateral or outside of the wrist, so the pinky side. Um, and it's a point that's kind of interesting because you just fall into it. So if you come along the wrist and you go back, you're going to kind of fall into an indentation. I don't know how well you can see it. Can you guys like see? I feel like the light is blurring me out a little bit, and I don't know if you guys, I can adjust it if it seems like it's causing an issue with you being able to see what I'm doing. I don't know if that's the case. It just looks to me like some of the points I'm trying to show you are a little bit blurred out. Just let me know if you're having trouble seeing it. But this point is very relaxing. I keep forgetting to put this up here. I keep thinking the camera can see what I'm doing. And when you do these points, I really feel like it's intuitive what feels right for you to do. Um, Sometimes you want to do a circular motion, and again, it's gentle. You're not pushing too hard, but it's what feels right to you. And you just might find that doing a circular motion is what you need to do. A lot of times we do that. Um, when we work on our pets, so the wolf, of course, not anatomically correct, but you're going back and you're going to fall into that. It just goes boop, boop. I have my doggy skeleton here too, so I'm wondering if that would also be helpful. Excuse me. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but he's got a little dust on him. Okay, so I have to put him up. Oh, got a little dust on him. Okay, I haven't used him in a little while. Yeah, that kind of blurs him out. You can't really see it too good with the white. But if you're coming along the pinky on the outside and you're going up and you come and you hit that bump, you're just gonna fall into it. And again, that's Heart 7, Shenmen. That little guy got me through massage and acupressure school. And my pets taught me everything. And my teachers and all that, but of course. So I want to just mention, if you do find this beneficial, helpful at all, please do me a favor and like it. Sometimes I'm watching someone and I'm actually enjoying it or getting something out of it, and I just forget to even like it. So because I like it. So, but I do appreciate if you do that, and if you are not subscribed, I appreciate you subscribing. I know that your time is really valuable, and I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you doing that. It means a lot to me, and it helps the show grow. I'm trying to hit 1,000. It's a long journey with YouTube these days. If you started on this channel after a certain point, you're really kind of fighting an uphill battle if you're in kind of a niche genre like this. So I really appreciate your help, and spreading the word about the channel is great. So I want to also show you or talk about energy work, because now acupressure is a form of energy work. Animal communication is a form of energy work. Massage can be and is, sort of by default a form of energy work, even if you're not intending it to be, can be. But thank you for I see the little like, thank you. Oh, this is so great. I don't know why I can't have your comment. It's not showing up on the screen, but you're saying that your dog Janessa is literally falling asleep. Oh, that's awesome. So sweet. Good, good. These things are so easy to do. They can just take minutes. When our animals show that they're taking in the energy, they'll do things like fall asleep. They may move a certain way where you'll just sort of notice, like, okay, I think that the energy shifted there. Sometimes they'll shake. Sometimes they'll lick their lips. They may yawn. Sometimes they may just walk away because they're done. Cats are great for that, as you can imagine. They do whatever they need to do and then they're done. So, energy work is, of course, something that goes on a level that we can't see, but we can often feel shifts in energy. Now, and like I mentioned, you can see the after effect where an animal's done, but you don't get to actually see what's happening, but you can visualize it. And that's often a really good way to make that connection, that energetic connection, is to use that visualization. So what I like to do is I like the white light. I think that white light is a really good way to go for getting into energy work. It's pure. It's a symbol of just pure love and an expression that you want this to be completely devoid of negativity. So when I am doing energy work, I imagine a white light that goes from my heart to the animal's heart. And that to me is almost like it's a very slow sort of wave going back and forth and back and forth. Sort of like a pulsating kind of a thing. Or some people do like to imagine it more like tennis. But for me, it needs to be something a little bit more like fluid, like, slower. So I like to begin with that visualization when I'm working on an animal, and before I go into the actual hands-on kind of thing. So I make that connection, the animals pick up on that, and then that opens them up to doing the hands-on kind of stuff. So if an animal's feeling fearful, we talked about that. It's good to do that ahead of time, just to let them know, and then we begin doing work on them. And it's also nice just to do a few little strokes down their back before you begin doing acupressure on them. Um, but as when you finish doing acupressure, or if you choose to do just straight on energy work ahead first or alone, um, I'll bring my guy up here too. Okay. So I like to just kind of stroke down their back a few times, very slowly but with intention. So this wouldn't just be like a regular pet or maybe one like that. It's a little bit more flat handed and just a more intentional pressure. Do that at least 3 times until you notice that your pet is starting to get into it, is the only way I can put it. They're starting to kind of accept that they're going to be staying still for a moment. They're not trying to take off. If you do feel like they're trying to take off, let them go. We never want to force an animal, to do anything. So another point that I like to do up here, right as I'm doing energy work, is to go in. It is an acupressure point, but it's located right along. So if you go up the sort of the bridge here and you come up between the eyebrows, you come to the middle, you've got this point called yin tang. And you can just put your hand here if your pet shows any resistance to doing acupressure, or you don't want to do acupressure at that moment. Just putting your hand here and visualizing that white light again. All you need to do is what I want to call like sitting in that light, being that light. Just feeling that glow, that sort of stillness, but pureness of that light. And just let it completely engulf you. Feel that, and imagine every cell of your body. Just picture your cells with that white light and that glow. And there's actually studies that do show that what we visualize happens in our bodies. So, for instance, you can visualize maybe being on a hammock on a vacation that you took, and it actually translates into your brain as though you really are on that hammock on vacation. So it has a very beneficial effect of relaxation, even though you're not actually there. So if an animal is frightened, sometimes just having your hand on them can be better than doing point work. It just depends on the animal and maybe how frightened they are. If they're under a bed or something like that, it can be maybe difficult to reach them and do these things. So the nice thing about energy work is that you don't actually even have to be touching them. So if your animal's under a bed, you don't even have to be in the same room as them. I do energy work distance, but if you were to go into the room and just sit down, either on the bed or on the floor, outside of the bed, you can, and not be under the bed, you can just sit there, imagine that connection, that white light, picture that, I should say, because it is a real connection. And you can just put your hands under the bed. Like, you don't have to reach and be uncomfortable. You could just put them like where that opening is, right under the mattress and the floor. And just picture that energy going towards your pet. like waves, just calming waves. And let's just, you can say things that are comforting, but again, not overwhelming them with emotion. So you could say things like, you could picture, what I like to do actually is to show my animals the outside of the structure that we're in. So, like in our home. So I show them that there's a ceiling and there's walls, and I show them that these things are coming from the sky. Um, and then I know that it's scaring them, but that it can't come in. That we're sort of in this, we're in shelter. And you can even put that glowing white light around your home. You can show it going around the bed to show your pet that there is a barrier and to help relax them. Um, Combined with some of these things, you might want to try things like CBDs. Of course, always checking in with your vet for any of this stuff, but personally, I really like to use CBDs with my animals as soon as I know a storm is coming, like 20 minutes at least before. I find that that's really helpful, and using it in combination with these things, it's sometimes that's all they need is the CBDs, but if they need more than that and I can do this with them, it helps because they're more like receptive to it. They're going to be more likely to stay. They're not going to necessarily like want to retreat like sometimes animals do. They want to pull away when and just to feel safe. That's their instinct. So I find that the CBDs sometimes they need both, and it just helps to relax them enough to be able to do the work on them. So essential oils are great too. Diffusing them. I have a handbook of essential oils too that you might want to check out. That's free. I have a description below that describes some of that, and I have some CBDs that I like that's listed below. I wanted to show you too this is something that I made up a while ago. I did this for my book, my ebook about essential oils, insider secrets to using essential oils with animals. That's that free ebook that you can get on my website, and that link's down there. So this is Tierna. She is now in spirit. She's my beautiful Tierna, and this is Cheyenne. Cheyenne was a little bit younger. She looks a lot puffier now, but a lot more fur. But so this shows the chakras of the body. So I just wanted to show you that, and I'll bring it out a little bit here. I'll just do the whole screen here. So is she pretty, my baby? Okay, so you have that crown chakra, and so that makes, going back to that yin tang point on the forehead, and then you have this brow chakra here, another very calming area here. I'm sorry, this is the yin tang point, and then you have the crown chakra. Sorry about that. And then the throat chakra, the heart chakra, and then this is the solar plexus, the yellow. This is kind of coming across here, more like the chest below the heart. I think that, I don't know why that is there, but over to the side it should be more here in the middle. I used to have people do these things for me. Now I do them myself, so I guess that was kind of what they thought I meant. So the sacral chakra is the base. It's not as far down as the base chakra. The sacral chakra is like more like the belly button area, And then the base chakra is the lowest chakra. So, not to be too graphic, but that would be like the reproductive organs area. See, I just wanted to show that as a visual. Sometimes people like to see colors and stuff. You know I do. Okay, so far, are there any questions that people have or anything that you want to go more in depth with? Feel free to jump in. I also wanted to mention or talk a little bit about like what is an animal feeling and experiencing when there is a storm or any kind of loud noise, but we're talking about thunderstorms and I don't know why I keep doing this. If I say one, I can't remember the other. This is really terrible. I don't know what this is. It's kind of scary, but um, thunderstorms and fireworks. I'm sorry. So, so what are they feeling? That isn't necessarily something that you want to go into. You can a little bit when they're going through this, but that's kind of trying to like, you're kind of fixating on it more, and it's empathy, which is a good thing when it comes to understanding our pets and animal communication, but it's not necessarily where. Oh no, you're going. You had to go. DB, Darlene. Well, I don't even know where I left off at this point. I'm like so confused. Basically, my internet went down, is what happened. So I do not know what I was saying. I know that we talked about the acupressure points and energy work and how we can use energy work to help our animals during thunderstorms. And we were getting into that a little bit. Oh, I was talking about how animals perceive these things, how they perceive a thunderstorm or lightning. So, when I tune into my dog Cheyenne, who's right over here actually, and I ask her how she feels when it's thunder and lightning, she feels a buzz. She feels energetically like things are kind of buzzing. I don't even think the word is pulsating. It's more like vibrating in her body. That's how she feels it. I'm not saying that technically that's what it is, but that's what she feels. Not that that's a technical term, but buzzing and vibrating. But you know, basically, that's how she perceives it. So, she also picks up on the static to some degree. However, this isn't a really carpeted home that I'm in, so I think that that helps with it. She feels that her safety is obviously threatened. And I feel like that is definitely an instinctual thing that's just like in them. They know that there's a threat coming. That's their, you know, obviously instinctually that's how they're you know, of course going to perceive it, because if they were like going back to being wolves, you know, way back in the genetic line, they would have to probably, you know, get away from any kind of danger when it came to lightning and thunder. Well, lightning, they'd have to get away from that. That would be very threatening. So that's still in them to some degree. So that's, you know, understandable that they're going to feel that way. And I don't think that we should necessarily always feel so guilty that we can't fix it for them. It's really hard. We feel terrible. I know I do. And I want to do everything I can to help them. One other thing that I like to do, of course, is sound, like to block that sound out, is to put on some classical music, calming music for animals. I have a really a few really good like CDs lined up, or downloads lined up that I have for them. There's also the videos on YouTube that you can play for free. Just things to block out that noise and just relaxing and calming for them. So trying to kind of create that cocoon environment and to communicate to them that they are safe, that they are protected, that they do have the shelter that I talked about before the internet went out there. Um, and when it comes to things like fireworks, it's a different, obviously feeling that she tells me about. It's not the same, obviously, like that the static and the buzzing, and that's not there. It's just the fear of that sound. It's terrifying would be the word, sadly. So again, you're trying to just to convey to them that something's going on over there, and you're doing your best to do visuals that would convey to them that this is not going to hit them. It's not in their space, that they have this shelter around them as protection, and that they're going to be safe. They're going to be okay. Now, they're not always going to take that in, because the state of mind that they're in is, like they're in that instinctive mode, and to listen to logic at that point, human logic, is not necessarily going to work. So I do that to some degree, but I feel like it's better to just create a stable environment for them. So doing the energy work, coming from that solid grounded space, the unemotional, the cocoon, the music, perhaps something like a CBD or whatever your vet, you discuss with your vet, whatever seems right for your animal. Essential oils are nice to diffuse, and things that are just going to help them to feel a little bit more calm. Did someone come back? I'm not sure if anybody's still here, but I just saw a thumb fly up, so I'm thinking there might be someone in the chat again. Sorry about that if you missed it and my internet went down, but my husband luckily came home in the middle of this. I didn't even expect him to come home, and he got it back online. So my knight in shining armor came home. So other than that, I think that you can do things like letting them just kind of go to where they need to go to retreat. The bathtub can be good for animals because it helps with the static issue. My dog Misha used to do that. She'd always go into the bathtub when we had thunder and lightning. And my dog Kane just did it a couple weeks ago. I was up at my mother's house, and he went into my German Shepherd went into the shower and laid down. And he kind of like passed out there. He was out for a while. So we just kind of have to let them too have some control over the situation to feel safe, but creating that cocoon for them. So if anyone is there and they have any questions, just let me know. I think that it can be helpful to talk to animals ahead of time and explain your home to them, like when they're not in all of this. I think that it's helpful to sort of have this idea in their mind of what a roof is and what that does. And, if you keep repeating that to them, it can get in there. That's a concept that they can get, and it may be something that they forget and need to be reminded of, so that it really is like ingrained in them in these situations. So you may want to do something like that. You just kind of go over that repeatedly at different times, like when you're not in the middle of a crazy, sound situation that's threatening to them, and talk about how safe they are. So I feel like I lost the people that were here during the internet outage. So Basically I was going to have this be more of an interactive thing, but unfortunately the YouTube demons struck again. So I am definitely open to any questions in the comments, or any, if anything you want to talk about in the comments as far as this goes, or anything else having to do with animal communication. I'd love to know how this went for you, if you were able to try it and how it went. Um, if you want me to talk about anything else on my shows in particular, that you're interested in any topics, then I'm absolutely open to that. I'd love to hear those suggestions. Please do let me know. And you can also contact me at my email if you are interested in animal communication, or um, acupressure, massage, energy work, or essential oil CBDs. I also have children's songs on there. I even have a song called the Thunder Song on my website that you can listen to if you'd like, from the Misha Songs CD. She inspired all the music on there, and she was so afraid of thunder and lightning, so she inspired, that was one of the songs that she inspired, was the Thunder Song. So you might want to check that out. It's just kind of a cute song. It's a children's album again, and you can listen to it on my website, intuitivetouchanimalcare.com. You can download it if you'd like. There's just a small, I think 99 cents or something for each song. It's also on Amazon and some other places, but please feel free to reach out to me if you do have any questions. I would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for watching. I do really appreciate it, and take care.